Have you ever watched a father lie to his own daughter about a family lunch while throwing a $500,000 party for his son behind her back? My father did exactly that. He called me on a Thursday, told me not to bother coming to a casual family lunch that weekend, suggested I go skiing instead. What he didn't mention? That lunch was actually my brother's 500 guest engagement party at the Ritz-Carlton Denver, an event my entire family had been planning for 3 months. Everyone was invited, everyone except me. But here's where it gets interesting. While they were toasting Brandon's success in the grand ballroom, I was 3 hours away in Aspen, about to post a ski selfie that would accidentally destroy their perfect night. That one innocent photo would expose years of calculated exclusion and trigger a chain of events that cost my father his reputation and my brother his promotion. Hello, I'm Faye Trevino, 28 years old, and this is the story of how I became the family villain without even trying, and discovered that sometimes the best revenge is simply living your truth. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. Growing up as Noah Fletcher's daughter should have been a privilege. After all, Fletcher Development Group controls over $450 million in commercial real estate across Colorado. My father built his empire from a single strip mall in Aurora to becoming one of Denver's most powerful developers. But being his daughter meant something very different for me than it did for my brother Brandon. Brandon, 4 years older, was groomed from birth to inherit the throne. VP of Sales at Fletcher Corp by 30, corner office overlooking the Rockies, company Tesla, and most importantly, Dad's unwavering approval. Me? I was the artistic one who chose to play with buildings instead of building wealth, as my father loved to tell his golf buddies. The irony wasn't lost on me that while Brandon sold other people's visions, I actually created them. I'd established Trevino Design Studio at 23, built it to 12 employees by 28, and just 6 months ago, won the Rising Architect Under 30 award from the Colorado Design Institute. But when the announcement appeared in Architectural Digest, my family didn't even know. Why? Because I'd learned years ago that telling them about my achievements only led to dismissive comments about hobby careers, and when you're ready for real work, there's always a place at Fletcher Corp. My father had this particular phrase he'd perfected over the years, delivered with a patronizing pat on the shoulder. Brandon was born to lead empires, sweetheart. You, well, at least you can make pretty pictures of them. That phrase echoed in my mind every time I signed a new contract, every time a client chose my vision over established firms. But what hurt most wasn't the dismissal. It was the calculated way they'd already written my story without ever reading a single page. The systematic exclusion started subtly, but became impossible to ignore. In the past 2 years alone, I'd been left out of 3 critical family meetings, the kind where actual decisions got made about trust funds, estate planning, and company succession. The excuse was always the same. You don't work for the company, honey. This would just bore you. Take last Thanksgiving. I arrived at my parents' Cherry Hills mansion at 2 p.m. as instructed, only to find the dining room being cleared and my extended family settling into the living room with cognac and satisfied smiles. "Oh, Faye," my mother had said, genuinely surprised. "We started early since Brandon had to fly to Dallas. There's a plate in the kitchen for you." 23 relatives, and they'd simply started without me. The family photo they posted on Facebook that night had an empty space where I should have been standing. Then there was my father's 60th birthday gala. His intimate family celebration that somehow included 200 of his closest business associates, but not his daughter. I found out through Instagram when Brandon's girlfriend posted photos from the Four Seasons ballroom. When I confronted my mother, she'd sighed and said those words I'd heard so many times. "Don't make a fuss, dear. You know how your father is about business events. He just didn't want you to feel out of place." The pattern was clear. Every meaningful moment, every celebration that mattered, every opportunity to be seen as part of the Fletcher legacy, I was carefully, deliberately edited out. Not cruelly, not with shouting or drama, just overlooked, like a piece of furniture you walk past every day without really seeing. But why? What was so threatening about acknowledging that Noah Fletcher's daughter might actually be successful on her own terms? What my family didn't know was that 8 months ago, I'd entered the competition that would change everything, the Aspen Holdings Mountain Resort Project, an $85 million sustainable luxury development that would redefine Colorado's hospitality architecture. 112 firms submitted proposals. 12 made it to the second round. 3 were invited to final presentations. I was the youngest by 15 years and the only one without a team of 50 behind me. The night before my final presentation, I'd stared at my designs spread across my studio floor, knowing this was it, my one shot at proving I belonged in rooms my father said I'd never understand. $85 million. That number represented more than money. It was validation written in a language even Noah Fletcher couldn't dismiss. For 8 months, I'd worked 18-hour days, redesigning every detail until my vision was perfect. My team had grown exhausted, then exhilarated, then exhausted again as we pushed beyond what anyone thought possible from a boutique firm. We'd pioneered a modular eco-luxury concept that reduced construction costs by 30% while achieving LEED Platinum certification, something the industry giants said couldn't be done. If I stayed silent about this win, if I let my family continue their narrative of Faye the failed artist, I'd lose more than recognition. The announcement was scheduled for November 16th at 9 p.m. Marcus Smith, CEO of Aspen Holdings, would reveal the winning firm at a major industry event. 500 of Colorado's most influential developers, architects, and investors would be there, including, I'd recently learned, my father, who'd been trying to court Aspen Holdings for a decade. The email from Sarah Williams at Aspen Holdings sat in my inbox like a ticking time bomb. Congratulations again, Ms. Trevino. We look forward to announcing your selection publicly on Saturday evening. The damage to my reputation went deeper than family dinners. 3 weeks ago, I'd overheard Brandon at a mutual friend's wedding, holding court at the bar with his usual audience of Fletcher Corp associates. My sister? He'd laughed, gesturing with his whiskey. She plays architect. You know, draws pretty pictures for rich housewives who want to renovate their kitchens. Dad still pays her rent, but we don't talk about it. I'd frozen behind a column, listening as my own brother reduced my career to a punchline. The worst part? I recognized some of my actual clients in his audience, nodding along politely, probably wondering if what he said was true. My father was even more damaging in his subtlety. During a recent charity auction where I donated a pro bono design consultation, he'd stood up and announced to the room, "That's my daughter's little offering. She dabbles in design. Hopefully someone here can give her some real experience." The winning bid came from pity, not respect. I could see it in the buyer's eyes. The truth they refused to acknowledge? I'd been financially independent since 23. My studio's revenue last year hit $3.2 million. We employed 12 full-time professionals, including 2 engineers poached from Gensler. My downtown Denver loft, the one Brandon claimed Dad paid for, I'd bought cash after landing the Morrison Hotel renovation. But the most ironic twist? Jessica Monroe, Brandon's new fiancée with her 2 million Instagram followers, had been my college roommate. She knew exactly how hard I'd worked, how many nights I'd stayed up perfecting designs while she partied. Yet now she stood beside Brandon, nodding sympathetically when he explained why poor Faye couldn't cut it in the real world. The narrative was suffocating. And on November 16th, I finally had the chance to shatter it completely. Have you ever been diminished by your own family despite working harder than anyone else? Drop a comment and let me know. And if this story is hitting close to home, make sure you're subscribed because what happens next is something you won't want to miss when I show up at the party nobody invited me to. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. The call came Thursday evening, November 14th, while I was reviewing final contracts with my legal team. Dad's name flashed on my phone, unusual, since he typically had his assistant coordinate our rare interactions. "Faye, quick thing," he said, not bothering with hello. "This weekend we're having a small family get-together. Nothing fancy, just lunch at the house." "Oh?" I shifted the phone, genuinely surprised. What time should I? Actually, you don't need to come. It's mostly Brandon's friends, some family. You'd be bored. Very casual, nothing important. The dismissal was so smooth, so practiced. Dad, I can rearrange my schedule if. No, no, enjoy your weekend. Do that hiking thing you like. The mountains should be beautiful with the fresh snow. He hung up before I could respond. The entire conversation lasted 43 seconds. I sat there staring at my phone, that familiar ache settling in my chest. Even their rejections were efficient, optimized to waste as little time on me as possible. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma, my 19-year-old cousin who was studying at CU Boulder. Just a single message that changed everything. OMG, can't believe Brandon's engagement party is going to be so insane. My heart stopped. Engagement party? I typed back carefully. Wait, what party? The one on Saturday? At the Ritz? Mom said the whole family's been planning it for months. Aren't you coming? I stared at those words, reading them 3 times to make sure I understood. The whole family, planning for months. The small, casual, nothing important lunch was actually Brandon's engagement party, and I was the only one not invited. The lie was so unnecessary. He could have just not called at all. Emma's Instagram story confirmed everything I needed to know, posted at 6 p.m. that same Thursday. Getting ready for Brandon's big night. Our Fletcher engagement. Ritz-Carlton Denver. Mar 500 guests. Black tie glamour. 500 guests. Black tie. The Ritz-Carlton's grand ballroom. In her next story, she'd photographed the printed invitation, gold embossed, wedding-style calligraphy. Noah and Patricia Fletcher request the pleasure of your company at the engagement celebration of Brandon Fletcher and Jessica Monroe, Saturday, November 16th, 7 p.m. The save the dates I learned from scrolling through tagged posts had gone out 3 months ago. 3 months of planning, coordinating, arranging, while I sat through family dinners where no one mentioned a word. My own mother had looked me in the eye last Sunday and asked about my Thanksgiving plans, knowing full well about the party 6 days later. I found Jessica's event planning highlights. She'd been documenting everything for her followers. The tasting menu at the Ritz 2 months ago, where my parents smiled beside her. The floral arrangement selection at Babylon Floral, where Brandon's groomsmen helped choose centerpieces. The band auditions at the Mercury Lounge, where even my elderly grandmother had attended to give her input. Everyone had been invited to participate. Everyone had a role. Everyone except me. The final insult came from a vendor's Instagram. The party favor bags included a family photo montage on custom champagne bottles. I zoomed in, counting the faces in the Fletcher family portrait. Parents, Brandon, aunts, uncles, cousins, 23 people at my parents' house last Christmas. The photo I hadn't been invited to join because I was running late from that work thing. Except I hadn't been late. I'd been sitting in my car in their driveway, waiting for someone to text me that they were ready for photos. No one ever did. 3 months ago, everything changed with one meeting. I'd been invited to present the final Aspen Holdings proposal in their boardroom, 35th floor of the Republic Plaza, overlooking the entire Front Range. Marcus Smith sat at the head of the table, his reputation preceding him. The man who'd transformed Aspen Holdings from a regional player into a billion-dollar empire. Ms. Trevino, he'd said after my 90-minute presentation, I've seen 100 proposals for this project. Yours is the only one that doesn't try to impose architecture onto the mountain. You're letting the mountain speak through the architecture. He'd stood, walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, and gestured at the Rockies. Every major firm promised me luxury. You're promising me harmony. Your modular design cuts our costs by 30% while achieving environmental standards my board said were impossible. Tell me, why isn't Fletcher Development backing his daughter's firm for a project like this? The question had hung in the air. I'd simply smiled and said, I prefer to earn my opportunities, Mr. Smith, not inherit them. He'd laughed. A genuine surprised sound. Noah Fletcher's daughter, but you go by Trevino. Your mother's maiden name? My grandmother's, actually. She was the one who taught me that buildings should serve people, not egos. That afternoon, Sarah Williams, Aspen's CFO, had pulled me aside. Between you and me, Marcus has been trying to work with your father for years, but something always felt off. Your proposal is exactly what we've been looking for. Someone hungry enough to innovate, not just replicate. The contract would be signed within the week she'd promised. The announcement would be made at the Colorado Development Summit on November 16th. Marcus wanted maximum impact. 500 industry leaders witnessing the future of sustainable luxury design. The email from Sarah Williams arrived Friday morning, November 15th, with a subject line that made my pulse race. Final confirmation, tomorrow's announcement. Dear Faye, just confirming the schedule for tomorrow evening. Marcus will announce the Aspen Mountain Resort Architect selection at 9:00 p.m. sharp during the Colorado Development Summit. As discussed, this will coincide with the networking portion of the Fletcher Engagement Celebration, as many summit attendees will be present at both events. The Ritz-Carlton has confirmed the summit's Windsor room is adjacent to the Grand Ballroom. Marcus particularly wants to ensure maximum industry visibility for this announcement. Contract Namshand AH 2024-8574 will be displayed on screen, along with your portfolio highlights. Congratulations again on this historic win, the youngest lead architect in Aspen Holdings' 40-year history. Best, Sarah Williams, CFO. I read it 3 times, my mind spinning at the bizarre coincidence. The summit was in the room next door to Brandon's engagement party. At 9 p.m., exactly when Brandon was scheduled to give his speech according to Jessica's Instagram timeline, Marcus would be announcing my selection to the same crowd of power players. But they were separate events. I wouldn't be at the engagement party. I wasn't invited. I'd already booked my Saturday in Aspen, a solo ski trip to clear my head before the biggest announcement of my career. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family celebrated Brandon's personal milestone, I'd be 3 hours away, preparing for my professional triumph. My phone buzzed with another email from Marcus himself. Faye, looking forward to tomorrow's announcement. Your father will be surprised to learn what his daughter has accomplished. See you at the summit. MS. Wait, see me at the summit? But I hadn't planned to attend in person. Or had Marcus assumed I would be there, given that my entire family would be next door? Saturday morning, November 16th, I made my choice. The Aspen slopes were calling, just as my father had suggested. If my family wanted to celebrate without me, then I'd celebrate without them too. I loaded my gear into my Tesla at 6 a.m., the Denver skyline still dark against the mountains. 3 hours to Aspen, a full day of skiing, and back by evening to watch the announcement remotely. Perfect. The snow conditions were immaculate. 15 inches of fresh powder from the storm 2 nights ago. By 2 p.m., I'd completed 8 runs down Highland Bowl, each one washing away another layer of hurt from Thursday's call. This was what I needed. The mountains, the speed, the reminder that I'd built a life beyond my family's narrow definitions. At 7:30 p.m., I stopped at the Mid-Mountain Lodge for hot chocolate. The sun was setting behind the peaks, painting everything gold and pink. On impulse, I pulled out my phone for a selfie, goggle tan, wind-burned cheeks, and the biggest genuine smile I'd worn in months. The background was spectacular. Aspen Mountain stretching into the distance, the last light catching the snow crystals in the air. I posted it to Instagram with a simple caption, "Perfect powder day at Aspen. Sometimes you just need to breathe at 11,000 feet. Had Aspen snow, had powder day. Living my best life." Then I tucked my phone away and headed for one more run. The party would be starting now, I realized. Brandon in his custom tux, Jessica in whatever designer gown she'd documented for her followers, my parents playing proud host to Denver's elite. And me? I was exactly where I wanted to be, carving fresh tracks in virgin snow, 3 hours and a world away from their suffocating expectations. 10 minutes later, My phone started vibrating in my pocket. I ignored it, focusing on the moguls ahead. But it didn't stop. By the time I reached the bottom of the run, the buzzing was constant. 47 missed calls from Noah, 18 from my mother, 12 from Brandon, 23 text messages. My WhatsApp was exploding, even LinkedIn showed notifications. The first coherent text was from Emma. OMG, Faye! Everyone's going crazy! Your ski post is on the main screen. Jessica was live streaming when it popped up, and now everyone's asking where you are. Dad's about to lose it. I scrolled up to Jessica's Instagram live replay. There she was, radiant in a champagne Versace gown, giving a tour of the ballroom to her 2 million followers. And here's the amazing photo montage of Brandon's family, she'd been saying when my ski selfie appeared on her phone. Oh, wait, is that Faye in Aspen right now? Wait. The camera had shaken as voices rose in the background. Where's Faye? Someone asked loudly. Why isn't Noah's daughter here? Another voice added. The live stream showed my father's face turning from confused to furious as board members started asking questions. A text from Brandon, all caps. How could you do this to me? Another from Noah. Get back here now. You're embarrassing the entire family. From my mother. Sweetheart, please. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Come back. The last text made me pause. It was from Marcus Smith. Interesting timing with your ski post, Faye. The whole ballroom is buzzing. Your father just told my table you're dealing with personal issues and couldn't attend. See you at 9 for the announcement, or are you really in Aspen? My response was simple. I'm exactly where my father told me to be, enjoying my weekend in the mountains. The next call came while I was in the lodge, and this time Noah didn't bother hiding his rage. I could hear the ballroom noise behind him. He'd stepped into the hallway but hadn't gone far enough. His voice echoed off marble. You selfish, vindictive little... He caught himself, lowering his voice. Get in your car right now. You have 3 hours. If you're not here by 10, you're done. Do you understand me? Done with this family. Dad, I don't understand. You told me not to come. You said it was just a casual lunch, told me to go enjoy the mountains. Don't play stupid with me, Faye. You knew. You've always been jealous of your brother's success, and now you're trying to ruin his moment. In the background, I heard someone say, Noah, Marcus Smith is asking for you. He says it's about the announcement. My father's breathing changed. What announcement? What have you done? I'm skiing, Dad. Just like you suggested. Enjoying the beautiful snow you mentioned. This is about that little architecture project, isn't it? You think winning some small design contest makes you special? Brandon just secured a $50 million partnership for Fletcher Corp. That's real success, not your artistic dabbling. I heard Brandon's voice getting closer. Dad, people are leaving. The Washingtons just said goodbye, and the Pembertons are getting their coats. Fix this. Your brother's right, Noah hissed into the phone. You're ruining everything. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you. That's when I knew he was desperate. He only invoked my grandmother when he'd run out of actual ammunition. Grandma's the one who taught me to stand up for myself, Dad. Have a lovely party. I need to go. The lift is closing soon. I hung up on Noah Fletcher for the first time in my life. Wow, are you still with me? Because what happens next is the moment nobody saw coming. Marcus Smith, the CEO my father desperately wanted to impress, is about to make an announcement that will silence that entire ballroom of 500 people. If you've ever been underestimated, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Like this video and comment "Justice" if you want to see karma in action. At 8:45 p.m., while I sat in my car in the Aspen parking lot, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown Denver number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me swipe. Ms. Trevino? This is James Crawford from the Denver Business Journal. I'm at the Colorado Development Summit, and Marcus Smith just asked me to confirm if you'll be calling in for the announcement. He seems to think you're indisposed? My heart stopped. The announcement is still happening? Oh, yes. In fact, Mr. Smith just informed the entire summit that tonight's selection will, quote, redefine what we consider architectural excellence in Colorado. The interesting thing is, Ms. Trevino, half the summit attendees are now in the Fletcher engagement party next door. Your father just gave a toast about family legacy and the importance of, I believe his words were, choosing successors who understand real business. I could hear the ballroom noise through his phone. Is Marcus in the engagement party? He's at the VIP table with your father, actually, along with the entire Aspen Holdings board and several Fletcher Corp board members. Oh, and Mr. Smith just stood up. He's walking to the microphone. Ms. Trevino, are you calling in or not? Put me on speaker, I said, my hands shaking as I started my car. I'll listen from here. Through the phone, I heard Marcus's voice echoing through the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, before Brandon gives his speech, I have an announcement that concerns the future of development in Colorado. Noah, you'll want to hear this. The ballroom went quiet. 500 people all waiting. In the background, I heard my father's confused voice. Marcus, this is my son's engagement party. Can't this wait? No, Noah, it really can't. Marcus's voice carried through the phone with perfect clarity. For the past 8 months, Aspen Holdings has conducted a search for the lead architect of our new $85 million mountain resort project. 112 firms submitted proposals. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce our selection. The ballroom screen, the same one that had been showing Brandon and Jessica's photos, flickered to life with the Aspen Holdings logo. I could hear the confused murmurs through Crawford's phone. The winning design reduces construction costs by 30% while achieving LEED Platinum certification, something our industry said was impossible. The architect behind this innovation is the youngest in our company's 40-year history to lead a project of this magnitude. The screen changed. My portfolio appeared: the Morrison Hotel renovation, the Riverside Eco Complex, the Denver Art Pavilion. Then my headshot from Architectural Digest with the headline, Rising Star Under 30, Faye Trevino Reshapes Colorado Architecture. Ladies and gentlemen, Aspen Holdings' lead architect for the Mountain Resort project is Faye Trevino of Trevino Design Studio. The silence lasted exactly 5 seconds. Then the ballroom erupted. Through the phone, I heard chairs scraping, voices rising, someone saying, "Isn't that Noah's daughter, the one who's not here?" Marcus continued, his voice cutting through the chaos. Contract number AH 2024-8574 was signed 3 months ago. Ms. Trevino's innovative modular design beat out proposals from firms 10 times her size. Sarah Williams, our CFO, can verify the selection process was blind until the final round. Sarah? Sarah's voice came through. That's correct. We didn't know Ms. Trevino was Noah Fletcher's daughter until after the selection. Her proposal stood entirely on its own merit. The screen now showed the contract details, the dollar amount clear, $85,000. Noah, Marcus said directly into the microphone, your daughter just landed the biggest architectural contract in Colorado this year. Congratulations. Through Crawford's phone, the ballroom erupted into complete chaos. I could hear individual voices cutting through the noise. Noah, you told us your daughter was struggling. That was Richard Pemberton, chairman of Fletcher Corp's board. Why isn't she here? Another board member. Did you not invite your own daughter? A woman's voice shocked. Crawford whispered into his phone. Ms. Trevino, your father's face just went from red to white. Your brother is standing frozen at the side of the stage. And, oh my God, Jessica's live stream is still running. Her followers are going crazy in the comments. I pulled up Jessica's Instagram. The comments were scrolling too fast to read. Family drama. The daughter's not even there? 85 million? This is better than reality TV. Your future father-in-law is trash. Through the live stream, I watched my father try to speak. There's obviously been some misunderstanding. She's dealing with some personal issues and couldn't be here tonight. Marcus's voice cut through like a blade. Personal issues? She seemed fine when she won this contract 3 months ago, and according to her Instagram, she's skiing in Aspen right now. Not exactly struggling, is she? The camera caught Brandon grabbing the microphone. This is my engagement party, my night. But people were already getting up. Through Crawford's phone, I heard the shuffle of feet, the clink of glasses being set down, murmured excuses. The Washingtons were leaving. The Pembertons were at the coat check. 3 of Fletcher Corp's board members were huddled in a corner, shooting glances at Noah. Then, unexpectedly, I heard my grandmother's voice, my father's mother, 83 years old and sharp as ever. I always wondered why Faye wasn't at family events. Now I know. Noah Fletcher, you should be ashamed. The live stream cut off. Jessica had finally ended it, but the damage was done. Hashtag Fletcher family drama was already trending in Denver. Noah's desperate attempt at damage control came through Crawford's phone with painful clarity. Marcus, please, let's discuss this privately. This is a family celebration, and business matters should... Business matters? Marcus's voice was ice. Noah, you've been pursuing Aspen Holdings for a decade. You've pitched me 47 proposals. Not one came close to what your daughter achieved, and you didn't even know she was capable of it? There must be some confusion. Faye's firm is small, boutique. She doesn't have the infrastructure for a project this size. That's where you're wrong, Sarah Williams's voice cut in. Ms. Trevino's team has already begun preliminary site work. Her modular design approach means she needs fewer people to achieve better results. It's precisely why we chose her. I heard my father's voice crack. She's in Aspen. She should be here. This is a family event. A family event she wasn't invited to? Someone said loudly. Through the murmur of agreement, I recognized the voice. It was Catherine Morrison, whose hotel renovation had launched my career. I've been asking about Faye all evening, Noah. Everyone keeps saying she couldn't make it. But the truth is you didn't want her here, did you? Crawford whispered. Your father just tried to call you, in front of everyone. He's got his phone on speaker by accident. Through his phone, I heard my own voicemail greeting echo through the ballroom. You've reached Faye Trevino of Trevino Design Studio. I'm either with a client or on the slopes. Please leave a message. Noah's 49th call to me that night, broadcast to 500 people, went to voicemail. The metaphor wasn't lost on anyone. Dad, Brandon's voice was desperate. Fix this. People are leaving. This is supposed to be my moment. But Noah Fletcher, master of every room he'd ever entered, had no words left. Brandon's meltdown happened in full view of Denver's elite. Through Crawford's phone and the multiple Instagram stories now flooding my feed, I pieced together the spectacular collapse. This is her fault! Brandon had grabbed the microphone back, his voice cracking with rage. My sister planned this. She's always been jealous of me, always trying to steal attention. And now, on my night? Brandon, Jessica's voice was surprisingly calm. Stop. You don't understand. She does this. Acts like she's better than us because she didn't join the family business. But Dad's right. She's just playing architect, pretending. Pretending? Marcus Smith's voice boomed. Your sister just secured the largest architectural contract in Colorado this year. What exactly are you doing besides riding your father's coattails? The room gasped. Brandon's face went purple. I'm VP of Sales. I just closed a $50 million partnership. With a company that needed your father's connections, someone called out. I recognized the voice as Thomas Chen from Chen Industries, one of Fletcher Corp's board members. We all know who really closed that deal, Brandon. Jessica's Instagram story captured the next moment perfectly. She stepped away from Brandon, her $1 million engagement ring catching the light as she pulled off the microphone attached to her dress. I need some air, she said simply, and walked toward the exit. The exodus accelerated. Within 10 minutes, according to Crawford, half the guests had left. The elaborate ice sculpture of B&J, Brandon and Jessica's initials, stood melting in the center of an increasingly empty room. The band had stopped playing. The photo montage still cycled on the screens, showing image after image of the happy Fletcher family, minus one daughter. Your family is toxic, Someone had commented on the live stream replay, now with 127,000 views. Justice for Faye was trending. Brandon stood alone on the stage, still holding the dead microphone. At 9:47 p.m., sitting in my Tesla in the Aspen parking lot, I made a decision. If my family wanted to make this public, then I'd respond publicly. I opened Instagram and created a new post, a carousel of images I'd been saving for Monday's official announcement. First image, the signed contract with Aspen Holdings, number AH 2024-8574, clearly visible. Second, my team celebrating in our studio. Third, the Architectural Digest feature. Fourth, the scale model of the resort. Fifth, a screenshot of Marcus's email. Congratulations on making history. My caption was simple. Thrilled to announce that Trevino Design Studio has been selected as the lead architect for Aspen Holdings' $85 million mountain resort project. 3 months of keeping this secret, and perfect timing to celebrate from the slopes. Thank you to my incredible team who worked 18-hour days to make this dream real. And special thanks to Marcus Smith and Sarah Williams for believing in vision over pedigree. Had Aspen Holdings, Nashtash Trevino Design, Shash Colorado Architecture, Shash Women, Architecture, Mountain Modern Design. I tagged Aspen Holdings, Marcus, Sarah, and every major architecture publication in Colorado. Within 30 minutes, 50,000 likes, 8,000 shares. Architectural Digest reposted. Colorado Business Magazine requested an interview. 5 competing firms congratulated me publicly. And then the one that mattered most, Marcus Smith commented, "The future of Colorado architecture, proud to partner with true innovation." My phone exploded with notifications, emails from potential clients, LinkedIn requests from developers across the country, text messages from college friends who'd seen the drama unfold in real time. But the most interesting message came from Jessica. "I'm so sorry, Faye. I didn't know. Brandon told me you were too busy to come. I see it all now. You deserve so much better." Success, I realized, didn't need anyone's permission, especially not from people who'd already written my story without me. By Monday morning, November 18th, the fallout was measurable and devastating. The Denver Business Journal ran the headline, "Fletcher Family Drama Overshadows Engagement, as Daughter's $85 million Win Revealed." The article detailed not just the announcement, but the apparent family rift that left industry insiders questioning Noah Fletcher's judgment. Fletcher Corp's stock opened down 8%, losing $32 million in market value in the first hour of trading. The board called an emergency meeting for noon. According to my contact at the company, Brandon's own assistant who'd always been kind to me, 3 board members were demanding answers about leadership judgment and family values. The social media disaster continued to spiral. Jessica's livestream clips had been turned into memes. "This is my night" became a TikTok sound used to mock entitled behavior. A Twitter thread analyzing the toxic family dynamics of Denver's elite got 2.3 million views. Someone had created a Wikipedia page for the incident, the Fletcher engagement disaster of 2024. Brandon's promotion to executive vice president, scheduled for January, was postponed indefinitely. An internal email leaked to the press stated the board wanted to reassess leadership appointments in light of recent events. His $50 million partnership, the one he'd bragged about, was being reviewed after the client expressed concerns about corporate culture at Fletcher Corp. But the most damaging blow came from an unexpected source. Richard Pemberton, chairman of Fletcher Corp's board, gave a brief statement to the Financial Times. "The board is concerned about any leadership that fails to recognize and cultivate talent, especially within their own family. We're reviewing all executive positions to ensure Fletcher Corp maintains the highest standards of professional judgment." Translation: Noah's job as CEO was no longer secure. The empire he'd built over 30 years was shaking because he'd failed to invite his daughter to a party. Noah's email arrived at 3:17 a.m. on Tuesday, November 19th. 4 pages of single-spaced text that alternated between apology, justification, and desperate bargaining. Faye, I realize I may have been hasty in some of my decisions regarding family events. Your mother and I were trying to protect you from the pressures of corporate social obligations. We thought you'd be happier pursuing your own path without the burden of Fletcher Corp expectations. Clearly, we miscommunicated our intentions. I'm prepared to offer you the position of Senior Vice President of Development, reporting directly to me. The compensation package includes a base salary of $750,000, plus bonuses and stock options. Additionally, I'm willing to transfer 10% of my personal shares to you immediately, with another 10% vested over 5 years. This would make you the third largest shareholder in Fletcher Corp. Your brother understands that you deserve recognition within the family business. We can announce your appointment at the December board meeting, positioning it as a strategic expansion into architectural development. The Aspen Holdings project could be absorbed under Fletcher Corp's umbrella, giving you access to our resources and connections. Please call me. Your mother is distraught. Brandon wants to apologize. We're family, Faye. Family forgives. Dad. I read it twice, then marked it as read without responding. The little check marks turned blue, letting him know I'd seen it. The silence would say more than any words could. He called 17 times over the next 6 hours. Each voicemail grew more desperate. The final one, left at 9:43 a.m., was just 12 seconds. Faye, sweetheart, I was wrong. Please, just tell me what you want. What I wanted was something he couldn't give me. 28 years of being seen, valued, and included. But I'd already given that to myself. The extended family's response surprised me most. Within a week of the engagement disaster, my phone filled with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Aunt Patricia, my father's sister. Faye, honey, I always wondered why you missed so many gatherings. Noah always said you were too busy with your little projects. I should have questioned it. Uncle Robert. Your grandmother called me crying. She's furious with Noah. She wants you to know she's proud of you. My cousin Michael from Boston. Just saw the news about your Aspen contract. Incredible. Also saw the video of Uncle Noah's party. What a mess. Team Faye all the way. But the most meaningful call came from my grandmother herself, Eleanor Fletcher, the woman who'd built the foundation of the Fletcher Empire alongside my grandfather before Noah took over. Darling girl, she said, her voice strong despite her age. I've watched my son become someone I don't recognize. The Noah I raised would never have excluded his own daughter. You did nothing wrong by living your life. If anything, you showed more Fletcher spirit than any of them. You built something from nothing, without help, without connections. That's what your grandfather did. That's what I did. Don't you dare apologize for succeeding. The family WhatsApp group, the one I'd been mysteriously left out of for 2 years, suddenly added me back. 15 relatives had unfollowed Brandon and Noah on social media. The annual Fletcher family Christmas card, traditionally photographed at Noah's house, was being reorganized by Aunt Patricia at a neutral location. She made a point of texting me first with the date. My mother, silent through everything, finally liked my Aspen Holdings announcement on Instagram. It wasn't much, but from her, it was everything. The caption she added when sharing it, proud of my daughter's achievements. No mention of Noah, no Fletcher Corp logo, just mom. The professional windfall exceeded my wildest expectations. Within 10 days of the announcement, Trevino Design Studio transformed from a boutique firm to one of Colorado's most sought-after architectural practices. 7 new clients signed contracts in the first week alone. The Patterson Group wanted us for their $40 million mixed-use development in Cherry Creek. Mountain Vista Resorts offered us 3 properties to redesign. Even the city of Denver reached out about the new public library project, a $62 million landmark initiative. Our total contracts under negotiation hit $147 million. I had to turn down projects, something I'd never imagined possible 6 months ago. My team grew from 12 to 35 employees, including 2 senior architects I'd poached from Hoke and Gensler. We leased the entire 14th floor of the Republic Plaza, right above Aspen Holdings. Marcus Smith personally attended our office warming. Forbes called for their 30 Under 30 Rebels feature. The headline, From Family Outcast to Architecture's Newest Powerhouse, How Faye Trevino Built a Nine-Figure Portfolio While Being Excluded from Family Dinners. The Denver Business Journal named me Entrepreneur of the Year. The ceremony was December 15th at the Brown Palace Hotel. They'd also nominated Noah for Executive of the Year, but he withdrew his nomination citing scheduling conflicts. We all knew the truth. He couldn't risk being in the same room where his daughter might overshadow him again. My favorite moment came when the American Institute of Architects invited me to keynote their national conference. The topic they requested? Building success without permission, breaking free from traditional power structures. The speaking fee alone was more than Brandon's monthly salary. Every contract, every article, every award was documented and posted. Not for revenge, but for truth. The girl they said was playing architect was now reshaping Colorado's skyline. The relationship between Brandon and Jessica unraveled in public view. 2 weeks after the engagement party, Jessica posted a cryptic Instagram story. Sometimes you need to step back and ask yourself if you're marrying the person or the lifestyle. Her follower count had dropped from 2 million to 1.5 million after the livestream disaster. Brands started pulling sponsorship deals, concerned about being associated with the toxic Fletcher drama. The comments on her posts turned brutal. Gold Digger got what she deserved. How could you not know Faye wasn't invited? Your silence speaks volumes. Brandon, meanwhile, spiraled into blame and bitterness. According to mutual friends, he spent every conversation ranting about how I'd orchestrated everything to humiliate him. He'd convinced himself that I'd somehow known about the party all along and planned my Aspen trip specifically to cause maximum damage. The wedding, originally planned for June at the Four Seasons Vale, was officially postponed to allow time for family healing, according to Jessica's publicist. But her ring disappeared from photos. She stopped tagging Brandon. When someone asked about wedding planning in her comments, she replied, taking time to focus on personal growth and authenticity. The final blow came when Jessica reached out to me directly through DM. Faye, I've been doing a lot of thinking. You were my roommate for 4 years. You were nothing but kind to me. And I stood by while Brandon and your father erased you from the family narrative. I'm genuinely sorry. You deserve so much better from all of us. I'm starting to see that the Fletcher name isn't worth what it costs. Maybe coffee sometime? Jay. I didn't reply immediately. But a week later, I liked her post about choosing self-respect over social status. It was the closest to forgiveness I could offer. The meeting with Noah happened December 3rd at a neutral location, a quiet cafe in Wash Park, far from the Fletcher Corp offices, or any place we might be recognized. He looked older, grayer, like he'd aged 5 years in 2 weeks. Thank you for coming, he started, his usual commanding voice subdued. I stirred my coffee, waiting. I'd learned the power of silence from him after all. The board is pressuring me to step down as CEO, he admitted. They say I've shown poor judgment in talent assessment. They keep asking how I could miss what was right in front of me. What do you want from me, Dad? I want to understand. Help me understand how we got here. I set down my cup carefully. You got here by deciding I was a failure before I ever had a chance to succeed. Every family dinner where you introduced Brandon's achievements and skipped over mine. Every event you decided I wouldn't fit into. Every time you told people I was finding myself when I was actually building something remarkable. I thought I was protecting you from pressure. No, you were protecting yourself from having a daughter who didn't follow your script. I need 3 things if we're going to have any relationship going forward. No more lies. Equal treatment. If Brandon gets invited, I get invited. And respect for my career, which means no more little projects or playing architect comments. He nodded slowly. And if I can't? Then I'll love you from a distance, Dad. But I won't let you diminish me anymore. His hands shook slightly as he reached for his coffee. I don't know how to fix this with Brandon. He blames you for everything. That's not mine to fix. That's yours. We sat in silence for a moment before he asked, "Will you come to Christmas?" "I'll think about it." Christmas 2024 arrived with a formal invitation from my parents, properly addressed, mailed to my office, with my name in the same elegant calligraphy as everyone else's. A first in my adult life. I declined politely, sending a gift basket and a card. Previous commitments. Wishing you all a peaceful holiday. Faye. Instead, I hosted my own celebration. My team, their families, Marcus and Sarah from Aspen Holdings, my grandmother who chose me over her son's gathering, and surprisingly, my mother, who showed up at my door at noon with a homemade pie and tears in her eyes. "I should have stood up for you," she said simply. "Every time. I should have stood up for you." We didn't talk about Noah or Brandon that day. We talked about the Aspen Project, about my grandmother's stories of building the family business from nothing, about my mother's own abandoned dreams of becoming an artist before she married into the Fletcher empire. Brandon finally texted on December 27th. "I'm sorry for what I said at the party. I was wrong." 17 words. No explanation, no real accountability. I responded with two. "Thank you." Noah posted a photo from Architectural Digest on his LinkedIn, my feature article, with the caption, "Proud of my daughter Faye Trevino's groundbreaking achievement with Aspen Holdings." It was the first time he'd publicly acknowledged my work without qualifying it. The comments were brutal. "Now you're proud? Too little, too late. Where was this energy before?" But it was a start, a small crack in the wall he'd built between us. My mother began scheduling monthly lunches with me. Just us. No Noah, no Brandon, no Fletcher Corp talk. Just a mother and daughter, slowly finding their way back to each other over salads and honest conversation. 6 months later, May 2025, I stood on the construction site of the Aspen Mountain Resort, watching my vision rise from the earth. The modular frames were going up ahead of schedule, under budget, and exceeding every environmental benchmark we'd promised. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "CNN wants to do a feature on the project. You available next week?" Trevino Design Studio now operated from 3 floors of the Republic Plaza. 52 employees, active projects worth $234 million. We'd just been shortlisted for the Denver International Airport expansion, a project Fletcher Corp had unsuccessfully bid on 3 times. The relationship with my family had found its own rhythm, professional but boundaried. Noah and I exchanged quarterly emails about business. Nothing personal, just acknowledgments of each other's successes. Brandon kept his distance, still nursing his wounds and his postponed promotion. The wedding to Jessica never happened. She'd moved to New York to rediscover herself, according to her last post. I'd never apologized for the ski photo. Why should I? I'd simply lived my life, posted a happy moment, and let the truth reveal itself. The fact that my absence caused such chaos only proved how deliberately I'd been excluded. "You know," my therapist had said, "the most powerful thing you did wasn't the success or the contracts, it was refusing to shrink yourself to fit their narrative." She was right. I hadn't destroyed their party. Their lies had. I hadn't sought revenge. I'd sought success. The difference mattered. Standing there, watching welders bring my design to life against the Colorado mountains, I thought about that night at the Ritz-Carlton. How Brandon had screamed, "This is my night," while I sat in a parking lot 3 hours away, choosing myself for the first time. No regrets. Not one. The lessons from that November night crystallized over time into truths I now share with young architects and entrepreneurs who reach out after hearing my story. First, your worth isn't determined by your family's recognition of it. I spent 28 years trying to earn a place at a table that was never going to have a seat for me. The moment I stopped seeking their validation was the moment I started building something undeniable. Second, success doesn't need permission. While I was waiting for an invitation to family events, I should have been celebrating my own milestones louder, Every contract, every award, every achievement deserved recognition, even if I had to give it to myself. Third, boundaries aren't revenge, they're self-preservation. Telling Noah I needed respect or distance wasn't cruel. It was the kindest thing I could do for both of us. It gave him the chance to choose who he wanted to be, and it gave me the freedom to thrive regardless of his choice. Fourth, choose the people who celebrate you, not just tolerate you. My team, Marcus, Sarah, my grandmother, they saw my potential when my own father couldn't. Those are the relationships worth nurturing. The Fletcher name still opens doors in Denver, but now, so does Trevino. I built that, without connections, without seed money, without a seat at their table. And maybe that's the greatest irony of all. By excluding me, they forced me to become someone who never needed them. When young women ask me how to handle family members who don't believe in their dreams, I tell them this. Don't dim your light for people who refuse to see it shine. Build your empire anyway. Success is the best response, and boundaries are the foundation that success stands on. Thank you for listening to my story. If you're struggling with toxic family dynamics, remember, you deserve respect and recognition. Don't dim your light for those who refuse to see it shine. Subscribe for more stories about setting boundaries and finding your worth. Comment boundaries if this story resonated with you. And remember, your success doesn't need anyone's permission. Stay strong.